So your corydoras have spawned and you want to try and raise them up. I'm going to go over the process that I use from after they've spawned to getting them past the first few weeks after hatching. I'm not going to cover how to get them to spawn, as that can be very different depending on the species. I use this same process for 30 plus different species I'm currently breeding. First, you want to collect the eggs. Be prepared with whatever you'll need. I have a 32-ounce plastic cup, a turkey baster in case some eggs fall to the sand, and a razor blade. It depends on the species as to where they spawn. In this case, these are CW10 gold lasers, so they spawn on the glass. Fill the cup about half full of the water from the tank. I have the blade ready, but I test to see if it's easy to actually collect them with my fingers first. In this case it is. When they're laid, corydoras eggs are sticky. Sometimes it's a pain to use your fingers, and it's easier just to use a blade right along the glass to scrape the eggs off. Just don't scrape into the silicone of the tank, and don't cut through the eggs with the blade. Okay, forget it. Some corydoras will spawn on the underside of leaves. I don't have an active spawn right now, but here's what it can look like. Just pick the eggs off of the leaf as if they had spawned on the glass. Now let's look at collecting eggs from corydoras that normally spawn in plant roots or moss or the like. These are corydoras bosmani. In this case, I'm simulating plant roots with a spawning mop, so I can just pull the mop out of the tank. For mop spawners, I use a lamp with a magnifying lens to poke through the mop. Position things so that you're comfortable, because this can take some time. Have some water in the bowl and make sure you keep your fingers wet while you're looking through the mop. If you see a bad egg, like one that's fungused, white, or crushed, pick it out of the mop. Good eggs will hold up to the pressure of your fingers as long as you don't just crush them. I work through the outside of the mop looking for any of the obvious eggs and place them in the same 32-ounce half-filled cups. Once I've gotten the obvious eggs off the outside, I start looking through the mop thoroughly. With mops made of eyelash yarn like this, I can just run my fingers down the strands and feel where the eggs are, so the process goes much faster than having to visually look through the mop. When done, the mop goes back in the tank with the adults. Here are some bosmani eggs that were laid at least the day before collecting. You can tell from the color. And the CW10 gold laser eggs that were laid a few hours ago. I fill the cup up the rest of the way with aged water. Aged water has had time for the pH to settle and is as close parameter wise to the water they're in as I can possibly get it. I add an alder cone or two if they're really small. Alder cones add tannins to help prevent fungus, similar to methylene blue, but I don't have to dilute the water to remove methylene blue. I label the cups including the type, the date, an M for morning or an E for evening, depending on when I collected them. I generally do maintenance in the mornings or evenings, so it's about a 12-hour cycle. I don't heat the water. In my case, the room's temperature is about the mid 70s, so the temperature in the cups will be on the low end of the 70s, around 72. I add in an air stone with a pretty good flow to keep the water moving. This is the next morning, about 12 hours or so later. You can see how much the alder cone has stained the water. Let's take a look at the progress. It'll usually take about 3 to 5 days from spawn to hatch. You can see the Basmani are already starting to hatch. I could tell that they had spawned earlier than the CW10s by the color of their eggs. The CW10 have started to get a brownish color, partly due to age, but also partly due to the tannins in the water from the alder cones. Time for a water change. I do about a 50% change with aged water. If I didn't have aged water, then I would do smaller water changes but more often. Then they go back on the shelf with airstone. I generally wait about 12 to 24 hours after hatching before I take the fry out of the cups to give them a chance for the rest of the eggs to possibly hatch. The CW10 gold lasers are still looking good. Time to move the Basmani to a rearing cup. This is my version of a German breeding ring, but you can use lots of different things for this. Hang-on breeder boxes are also a popular choice. I remove the alder cone and pour the contents into the rearing cup. You'll often have some fry that get stuck in the hatching cup, so use a turkey baster to wash them out. And don't forget to move the label along with the fry. I put a well-aged oak leaf in the bottom of the rearing cup and a clump of java moss. That'll give the fry something to feed off of right after they hatch. About 2 days after they have hatched, I start feeding small amounts of live baby brine shrimp twice a day. If I was better at this, I would have something like microworms or vinegar eels ready. At this point, Once you know they're eating, you've hit easy mode. Just keep up the periodic baby brine feedings at least about twice a day. Here's an example of what the fry will look like as they mature. These are corydoras C123 yellow cats, but they will all pretty much look like this. Once they reach about half an inch in length, I move them out of the rearing cups into the tank where they were floating in, and then it's off to their races. They stay in the rearing cups that long to make sure they're able to find food quickly without having to roam around a large tank. And that's it. Thanks for watching.